You know that old saying about restoring a motorcycle? It goes something like start with a bike that's complete with all the parts intact. Yeah, well, I clearly missed the memo. The thing is, when you dive into a project like this, you quickly realise that the parts will probably cost more than you imagined, and finding them is like searching for unicorns in a haystack, if they even exist anymore, that is. But hey, I got lucky, or so I thought. The engine was mostly complete and in a decent shape, which, in the world of vintage bikes, is basically hitting the jackpot. Now let me paint you a picture of how I got this bike. It was in a friend's garage, leaning against the wall like a sad forgotten toy. When I first laid my eyes on it, I thought, how bad can it be? Spoiler alert, worse, much worse. It came with a green tank that might have been the original, and a box of rusty parts that looked like they'd been through a shipwreck. To add to the fun, half the parts didn't even belong to the bike. Talk about a puzzle with no pictures on the box. There were also these sorry looking orange side panels. Maybe the bike was originally that colour, or maybe someone got creative and tried to make a Laverda Montjuic knockoff. Who knows? What I did know was that this sad little Alpino model had seen better days, when it actually was on the road, that is. To top it off, it seemed like everything that could be taken apart had been. Case in point, the brake calipers were dismantled, with half the parts missing, probably enjoying their retirement somewhere far, far away. And that, my friends, is how my journey with this Laverda 500 began, starting from a place I definitely wouldn't recommend. So there I was, having yanked out the engine and detached every last clinging piece of metal from the frame. Feeling like Picasso with a rattle can, I stripped off the old paint and started spraying away like I was tagging the local skate park. Honestly, if I was doing this again, I'd skip the DIY art project and send it off to be proper powder coated. Live and learn. Next up, the wheels. I ripped off the rotting old tyres like peeling off a band-aid that's long overdue for removal, and sent the rims off for a fresh coat of paint. It was a solid move. Threw in some new bearings too, because why not? Then I took the suspension apart, and surprise, surprise, they were about as useful as a chocolate teapot. So I splurged out on shiny new YSS shocks. With the frame and wheels now looking all good, I could finally start about making a rolling chassis. Time to start treasure hunting for the missing parts. With new head bearings and a fresh steering lock, I whipped up a head bearing cover myself, and because I'm a glutton for punishment, I had to use a die to fix the mangled threads on the headstock. Now here's where luck truly smiled upon me. I crossed paths with the late great Cordees, a legend of the Laverda motorcycle world. Seriously, Google him if you haven't. The man had just gotten out of hospital. He still took the time to rummage through his stash of Laverda 500 parts. And what did he send me? A new seat, side panel, end section, brake parts, resistors, coils, a tank cap, cylinder head cover, and a bunch of other bits and bobs. I particularly felt like I'd won the lottery. Next on the agenda was checking the valves, the cam chain. Then I discovered the clutch plates were seized, of course. Rebuilt the brakes and decided to play eBay roulette, scoring a pair of Mizaki front forks off a Ducati Panther of the same vintage. I figured they should fit right. Well, guess what? Wrong. Naturally, nothing's ever simple. I had to make spacers for the front disc brakes. And because life loves throwing curveballs, one of the bushings in the forks was missing, so I had to whip one up too. The exhaust downpipes, butchered again. The lugs which had once held the balance pipe had been hacked off like a bad DIY haircut, so I got a company in trim to fabricate me some new sections to make them function again. Then came the electrics, a real adventure. Having cleaned up all the parts where they hung off and fitted some new fuses, and swapping out for a shiny new electronic ignition from Germany because the old pickups and wiring looked like something out of an old horror movie. For the lights, I replaced the front glass with ones from a BMW and gave the backlight a makeover, stripped and painted. Naturally, I lost the back lens on a test ride because, well, vibrations, as this model didn't have a balanced shaft. Luckily, I hunted down a replacement from Steindins in Germany. The air filter got a good wash and scrub in my ultrasonic cleaner, but later I realised I needed to replace it anyway, and there's a video on my channel if you'd like to see that riveting process. Picked up some stainless steel mudguards from Classic Bike Shop on eBay, cut them to size, and threw on a set of Dunstall replica silencers. Add in a lot of fiddly wiring, a set of new tyres, and finally I had a rolling chassis. Small problem though, I still didn't have a garage at that point. Took a break after that, and by break, I mean I managed to break 9 ribs and tear the ligaments in my shoulder and puncture the lung, but that's a whole other saga. The silver lining was I finally got to build my garage during that downtime. The screen for the fairing, after a long search, came from MRA in Germany, who were very helpful with the measurements that I sent them over the internet. Once I was back in action, I got a set of Vaglia clocks. These were from a Motor Guzzi, and since Laverda had used them on some of their machines, I thought that was a good swap. Finding a set of the original ND Laverda clocks at a reasonable price was like searching for Atlantis. Designed a custom holder for the speedometer and rev counter because naturally they were of different sizes and I had to come up with some kind of solution for that problem. Countless other bits and issues that needed solving, like using car intercooler pipes for the carburetor air intakes. Speaking of carburetors, they got a deep clean and a rebuild during the process. A great paint job was done by my friend Martin in paintbike.com. And here's what I learned from this project. Check things as soon as you buy them, especially from eBay, because nothing says surprise like realizing you've bought something with parts missing. Who knew some sellers on eBay have a sense of humour? Loctite is your best friend. A lot of motorcycles from this generation really vibrate. Without it, things might start to fall off faster than my resolve during a diet. Things take time, or to put it another way, patience is a virtue. Especially when you're waiting for one critical part to arrive, and when it arrives you find you've ordered the wrong one. When you think you're finished, you're not. There's always something else waiting to go wrong, like the time it spat a spark plug. And yes, more adventures await. So stay tuned for those future learning experiences. Finally I had to register the bike and get it on the road, so let me tell you, that's a story in itself. But hey, I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of my Laverda 500 resurrection. So stick around and watch my other videos, because this project is a gift that keeps giving, whether I like it or not. Thank you for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you. Bye. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you.